I now call upon the Minister of Home Affairs and Immigration, the Honorable Pio Tikoduadua, to make his contribution. The floor is yours, sir.
The Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Ministers and Members of Parliament, my fellow Fijians. Let me first congratulate the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister for Finance, the Honourable Professor Biman Prasad, and his team at the Ministry of Finance for preparing and delivering a budget that will set Fiji on a path of recovery and success. However, before I dwell on the gist of my speech, Honourable Speaker, I first of all would like to make a few remarks on the comments and questions from the members of the other side of the House. On the matters raised by the Honourable Neville Rua, let me say that the statement he made attributed to me was not the response that I gave to the complainant in question. Let me assure the Honourable Neville Rua and the House that I have spoken to the complainant as the matter was raised to me by a former member of this House. Upon notifying the police took the complainant's statement and are investigating the matter. Secondly, on the matter raised by my good friend, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, on the People's Charter as the basis for the Fiji First Government's National Development Plan. The Fiji First Government had completely, in my view, disregarded the work of the NCBBF, whose recommendations played a significant part in the US Guide draft constitution. To confirm that, the co-chair of the NCBBF, the late Archbishop Emeritus of the Archdiocese of Suva, Petero Matada, wrote to the government to note his concerns that the recommendations of the NCBBF, the People's Charter, and the State of the Nation report were not considered fully in the formulation of the 2013 Constitution. The basis of the 2013 Constitution was a document called the Strategic Framework for Change that was authored by the General Secretary of the Fiji First Party. And the NDP was realized as a consequence of that particular document. On the issues raised by the Honourable Virendra Lal, I am glad to provide that information for you, sir, or perhaps later if you could raise it as a recent question and I will provide it to the House. On the concerns raised by the Honourable Ratu Chosaya Nyundamu just now, na nondra leuni buwale na ngoni turanga na tuina lao, au sa amani ego na numro ubuku, numro ndali na singani kuwa. Na mbala ira na police post ni nonta tobo no na lao, kira na umisi ara auni. Honourable Speaker, on a more pleasant note, I rise today with a sense of great pride and joy to congratulate Father Ellen Joseph Hill of St. John the Apostle Parish in Tovi on his distinguished honour of being awarded the Companion of the Order of Fiji. Father Hill's unwavering commitment to serving our community as a priest, mentor, and friend has left an indelible mark on our society. Through his tireless efforts, he has exemplified the values of compassion, kindness, and selflessness, becoming an inspiration to us all. We commend Father Hind for his outstanding achievements and express our deepest gratitude for his invaluable contributions to the well-being of our nation and of its people. Honourable Speaker, after World War II, the world has never been in a state where global war is more likely. Numerous conflicts in Eastern Europe and in Africa and in the Middle East have led to the global security situation that we are now experiencing. The war in the Ukraine has offset the balance of power in Europe. And at one stage, Russia was implying a nuclear solution to the war. Rogue leaders have essentially taken their countries to war at the cost of global peace and global security. The people of the Ukraine are suffering from the delusion of one man. And by the same token, the tensions across the Taiwan Strait is creating great tension and geopolitical skirmishes in the bottom half of the globe, especially in the Pacific. I'm informed that there is increased military activities on a daily basis across the strait by all parties that are there. Some of them too close for comfort. Now we are assured by the words of the Chinese Defense Minister at the Shangri-La dialogue that I had attended, when that which he said, and I quote, "Any conflict in the Taiwan Strait is not good for the world." I am glad that the greater powers in the world recognize the dire consequences of war. At the same Shangri-La dialogue, the US Secretary for Defense, who spoke in the meeting, also confirmed that the US will not condone any attempt by either side of the strait to change the status quo unilaterally. Now, what does this imply for Fiji, Honorable Speaker? Our biggest challenge and threat to our security is climate change. The attention of the Western world and the world at large is drawn to the Ukraine. The military buildup along the Taiwan Strait, in the Sea of Japan, the South China Sea, is diverting not only attention from our plight as small island states, but also taking away billions of dollars promised in climate mitigation and in climate adaptation funds. We have, amongst these issues, problems of our own, dealing with our own security. However, we cannot turn a blind eye to them because we will be affected by them, even if we don't see it. In our own immediate neighborhood, Australia is significantly building its military defense capabilities and strengthening its medium and long-range strike capabilities. Now, how should we, a small island state surrounded by other island states, accept a military buildup in our region? Nations call it a deterrent. We should adjust our national intentions and priorities accordingly. Honorable Speaker, we are a region of peace, a blue Pacific of peace. We do not desire war. We cannot afford war. Honorable Speaker, while those developments are happening, we in Fiji have our own internal security challenges, most significantly of which is to maintain peace and stability. And I take this time to thank our law enforcement agencies in the Fiji Police Force, the Republic of Fiji Military Forces, Customs, Immigration, Biosecurity, and the Ministry of Health for helping to keep our country and our Fijian people safe. It is unfortunate, though, Honorable Speaker, that since the announcement of the outcome of the 2022 general elections, some people, including politicians who have failed to earn power legitimately at the polls, have continually attempted to destabilize the security of our beloved Fiji. It is the rule of law they do not want to respect. They continually incite and propagate for the RFMF to take power, essentially to remove the elected government of the people, abusing constitutional provisions to support their ambitions to take power at any cost. Honorable Speaker, attempts to remove any government through the barrel of the gun must stop. No more coups. Honorable Speaker, we the Fijian people desire peace. Any person or group that wishes to disrupt our peace and our security and our sovereignty deserves to be opposed and resisted accordingly to the law. We have also heard that the commander of our RFMF has noted As an institution, the RSMF is committed to upholding the Constitution and its values, ensuring their actions align with the principles of democracy and the rule of law, and that any suggestion of taking extra-constitutional steps to preserve constitutional structures goes against the very democratic principles that RSMF has sworn to uphold. I ask our Fijian people, please do not use the RSMF as a platform to achieve your own political ambitions, which you could not achieve by coming through the gate. It doesn't matter if you are citizen Pramila or citizen Choni. It's the reason why the judiciary is the third arm of the state, Honorable Speaker. It is here, it is there to hear and judge our grievances. Please use it. Let me assure all Fijians, your security is secured. It is our concern. It is your government's concern. It is our responsibility to keep you safe. Mr. Speaker, sir, for the Ministry of Home Affairs and Immigration to advance our security strategic stance and consolidate the execution of the ministry's mandated role, it requires the appropriate budgetary resources to the ministry's headquarters and its line agencies and institutions. I am indeed appreciative of the budget allocated to my ministry and to the two security forces. In our ambition for global and regional recognition of being the hub of the Pacific, it is important that we develop and establish mechanisms that recognize the full spectrum of the value that our defense and security interests offer to ordinary Fijians. The allocated funds of $324,202 for the National Security and Defense Review, as announced by His Excellency the President, is a significant investment that will enable the government to undertake a holistic national security and defense review. The Defense and National Security Review will be a strategic assessment of Fiji's national security architecture and the role of the ministry. In a world marked by rapid changes and emerging threats, this review is of utmost importance. By proactively adapting to evolving security challenges, we strengthen our ability to protect our citizens, our children, maintain law and order, and safeguard our national interests. The government's commitment to the integrity and security of our travel documents is evident in the allocation of funds for the procurement of passports and the installation of e-passport kits. We are taking significant steps to align ourselves with the global standards and bolster the confidence of international travelers. The allocation of $1.5 million for the procurement of passports and an additional $300,000 for the installation of e-passport kits in immigration offices and overseas missions ensure the issuance of secure and reliable travel documents, which are essential for our citizens to exercise their rights and access opportunities abroad. Mr. Speaker, sir, as alluded by the Minister for Finance, the Fiji Police Force has been allocated a budget of $183.7 million, an increase of $3 million from the 2022-2023 revised budget. This commitment by government will surely bolster policing activities that will ensure a safe and secure Fiji through peaceful coexistence and the general maintenance of law and order. As part of the Security and Defense Review, the Fiji Police Force has been allocated $50,000 to carry out the review of the Police Act 1965. This review, through public consultation, will provide a holistic view of opinions from all those that will be impacted in order for the development of a police act that will empower their operations and bring back confidence in our Fiji Police Force. Furthermore, the increase in budget will greatly assist the Fiji Police Force in upgrading their technical equipment in order to effectively combat transactional organized crimes whilst maintaining the safety and security of our citizens. I commend the allocation of $2.3 million for the recruitment of 100 additional police constables, which will strengthen the force's operational capabilities, enhance its presence, enable more effective crime prevention and responses. Moreover, Honourable Speaker, the allocation of $700,000 to strengthen the police beat patrol in both urban and rural areas is a laudable initiative in our ongoing efforts to improve police visibility, enhance community safety. This strategic investment will foster close engagement between the police force and local communities, build trust, and promote a collaborative approach to crime prevention. By proactively patrolling our streets and neighborhoods, the police force will be better positioned to detect and deter criminal activities, ultimately contributing to a safer and a more secure Fiji. Additionally, it is crucial to address the maintenance and improvements for our police infrastructure. The allocation of $3 million for the renovation and upgrade of police quarters and posts demonstrates the government's commitment to rectifying years of neglect and some existing police stations, quarters and posts have faced. And I believe here is also included the Nalawa police post. Ensuring that our police officers have suitable and well-maintained working environment is vital for their morale, productivity, and overall effectiveness. By upgrading these facilities, we not only provide better living and working conditions for our police personnel, but also enhance the ability to serve and protect our communities with the utmost dedication. Community policing is now at the heart and center of the police's priorities, and the government will make it its business to support and equip community policing operations. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to acknowledge the increase in the Republic of Fiji Military Forces, the RSMF's allocation from $94.1 million last financial year to $103.1 million in the 2023-2024 financial year. Mr. Speaker, the RSMF plays a pivotal role in maintaining our nation's security, defense, and supporting peace efforts both regionally and globally. This allocation is a testament to the government's recognition of the RSMF's important contributions. The RSMF plays a pivotal role in maintaining our national security, defense, and supporting peace efforts both regionally and globally. Additionally, the increase in the RSMF allocation will provide the strength needed to boost the RSMF engineers. Apart from the work undertaken by the engineers within the RSMF, the regiment also assists government in its rural rehabilitation efforts. Mr. Speaker, sir, the allocation of $50,000 is very encouraging. $50,000 is very encouraging for the review of the RSMF Act, which will enable the RSMF to amend the archaic legislation. It is anticipated that the review will revamp the RSMF in fulfilling its responsibilities, including safeguarding our sovereignty, contributing to international peacekeeping missions, and responding to emergencies and natural disasters. The RSMF's dedication, professionalism, and commitment to upholding the values of peace and security are commendable, and this allocation recognizes the invaluable contribution to our nation. Again, I express my unwavering support for the budgetary allocations presented by the Minister of Finance for the Ministry of Home Affairs and Immigration, the Fiji Police Force, and the Republic of Fiji Military Forces. These investments epitomize the government's steadfast commitment to our collective safety and security. Let us stand united and work collaboratively to ensure that the allocated funds are utilized effectively and efficiently for the benefit of all our Fijian people. Together we will build a stronger, more resilient Fiji, a nation that thrives on the foundations of safety, security, prosperity, and equality. In conclusion, Honourable Speaker, as we deliberate on this budget, let us celebrate the achievements of exemplary individuals like Father Ellen Finn, who embody the values which we hold dear. Let us confront the challenges before us with determination and a united spirit, committed to upholding democracy, defending the rule of law, and eradicating coup culture once and for all. By doing so, we shall pave the way for a future where every Fijian can thrive and our nation can rise to even greater heights in peace. I extend my gratitude to each one of you for your tireless dedication to serving our nation, and I express my unwavering faith in our collective ability to steer Fiji towards a brighter future. Thank you, and may we continue to govern with integrity and purpose. Well done about it.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.